This is old news because we went viral yesterday thanks to Russell Dobular, who was at the Dissident Dialogues Conference this weekend, the 3rd and the 4th. And last night, after the festivities, he caught up with now friend of the show, public intellectual, new atheist, final boss, Richard Dawkins. And
okay, so this was the funny thing. Like, we'll get into it more later, but by the end of day one, it was just very frustrating, a lot of what I heard on stage. And as anybody who follows the show knows, Keaton Quiet Horse Weiss was like, go ham on them. Go ham on them. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to get thrown out. And I definitely want to be there for day two. So I do day two. And I was waiting to catch the right moment, and the Lord giveth. The end of the night, there's nobody really around to body check me or stop me. Richard Dawkins comes down from the VIP lounge, and there are only a couple people still around to come over and be like, oh, I admire you so much. Totally just me and him.
Yep.
Boom.
And this was after a panel in which he categorized the student protesters as anti-Semitic. Big shock. And so here's Russell asking him a follow-up question about that categorization. Notice at the beginning,
So
he asks permission to film him. Yeah.
All right. So this particular panel was him and what's her whole name? Hersey Ali.
Yeah, Ayaan Hirsi Ali. Yeah.
Ayaan Hirsi Ali. And throughout the entire weekend, except for the panel that was specifically about Gaza, nobody had anything good to say about student protesters, anything to say about the crackdown on them that was in their favor. I mean, only just absolute horrible comments. And he volunteered when he was on stage. She was arguing that students are being inculcated with Islam. And that's what's going on with these protests, that they're being infiltrated by Islamists and they're converting over to an Islamic value system, because the debate was actually supposed to be about she now, from having been an atheist, is claiming now to be a Christian. And he's saying, well, you're not really a Christian. I'm a cultural Christian. Maybe you're a political Christian, but you're not a theological Christian. That's what the debate was about. So that's why she was getting into this. She's saying these students are being indoctrinated by Islam, which of course is an absolutely fucking absurd proposition. No, I don't know any of these students who are converting over to Islam or even showing any particular interest in converting to Islam or Islamic theology. She's saying you need religion because in the absence of that void, Islamism and wokeness are going to take the place that Christianity has left in its departure. So we have to turn back to Jesus, essentially. And, so she was saying it's Islamism, and he disagreed with that. And so I think the moderator asked him, well, what do you think it is? He said, oh, well, I should think that it's anti-Semitism. It's being driven by anti-Semitism.
All right. So here is the follow-up question.
Do a quick question?
Yeah.
All right. You said you felt that the students protesting were driven by anti-Semitism?
Yes.
Do you feel it's possible they're driven by horror at the slaughter in Gaza?
Do what, sorry?
Do you think they're driven by horror at the slaughter in Gaza? Is it necessarily anti-Semitism?
Of course they're not driven by the horror and the slaughtering. You mean...
The students protesting.
Well, are you recording this? I'm not, put that away. I don't do recordings.
Okay.
So I guess you couldn't mic him up, right? Couldn't lav him up?
No, that was not going to happen.
All right, I want to replay this for 1 second because I want to get what he says here, because he says, of course, they're not driven by the horror in Gaza.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
and let me also explain what's happening here. This is an interpretation, but everyone's kissing his ass. He was the last panel. He's just been up in the VIP lounge where I'm sure everybody's just, bowing and scraping to talk to the great Richard Dawkins, especially in this room, as we'll get into. I think he realized, oh shit, I'm being asked a real question. He didn't ask me an ass-kissing question. And understand, you can hear at the beginning, I asked permission. You know, there's something me and Keaton talked about. Hey, I'm there as press. It's different from infiltrating a Rachel Maddow event with Jose, right? Like, I'm not going to start screaming at people. I'm going to play by the rules. I'm wearing my press badge. Yeah. So I asked him. I said, I'm Russell Dobular with DueDissidence. Is it? And you can hear the end of me saying, is it all right if I ask you a question? And he says, yes. I'm holding the phone in his face because a couple of people, not many, have suggested, well, he didn't want to be recorded. What? He didn't notice the iPhone that I picked up after identifying myself as press? He just thought I was going to say, how do you exercise your brilliant mind? He thought he was going to get a softball. And then halfway through the answer, he realized, oh, shit, he's one of those.
Yeah, he's one of those anti-genocide people. Right. And so, as you can see at the beginning, he agrees to answer the question. Obviously, come on, it's 2024. You don't know what a cell phone camera is. I mean, come on, that's the most obvious thing in the world.
Of course.
And then he says, "Are you recording this? I don't do recordings. You don't do recordings." Keep in mind, these new atheists, these were like the original debate me bro people.
Right.
Like these are the people who solicited debates with everyone. I'm down for any conversation with anyone who wants to challenge me on any point. That's the way Hitchens was, and Dawkins is, and Daniel Dennett, who just passed away a couple weeks ago, as it turns out. Even Sam Harris was like less available to the public, but these were all people who were always up for a conversation. That's what they all said, right? And he goes there and makes a public speech. There were some people who said, well, he's lost his fastball, he's lost his step. Russell didn't approach him in a coffee shop on his downtime. He's there presenting his point of view voluntarily, getting paid pretty handsomely from what I hear. And then he gets, he volunteers to take a question. Russell asks him, do you mind if I ask you? He says yes. So let's watch this one more time.
And not only that, I just watched him do a debate on Christianity with Hersey Alley with complete lucidity. He didn't lose it. There were no weird, uncomfortable moments. He wasn't Bidening out in that debate. So no, that's not true. Yeah, I mean, maybe he was sharper 30 years ago, but he's certainly not cognitively impaired such that you can attribute his response to anything like that.
Of course. So here it is.
Do a quick question?
Can I ask you a question?
All right. You said you felt that the students protesting were driven by anti-Semitism?
Yes.
Do you feel it's
Okay, so you're telling me he doesn't realize there's a camera pointed at his face now? That he didn't just say, yes, sure, ask me a question?
Of course. I that's why the video starts with the phone down, because I was being respectful. If he had said no, I would not have picked up the phone.
Right, exactly.
Possible they're driven by horror at the slaughter in Gaza?
Do what, sorry?
Do you think they're driven by horror at the slaughter in
listen
Gaza?
to this carefully.
Is it necessarily
I should have
anti-Semitism?
subtitled this.
Of course they're not driven by the horror in the slaughter.
Of course they aren't driven by the horror in the slaughter.
The students anti-Semitism?
Of course they're not driven by the horror in the slaughter. You mean...
The students protesting.
Well, are you recording this? I'm not. Put that away. I don't do recordings.
Okay.
It's our exclusive interview with Richard Dawkins, everybody.
It was not a long-lived interview.
No, fairly short one.
That was I got to say, man, if I was going to get one person, that would be the person.
Absolutely.
Anybody at that conference, if you were going to nail anybody. As
of now, that's got 701,000 views on Twitter.
There were other people who, and we will later in the week, we promised we wouldn't drop any clips until Dissident Dialogues does. They did give us permission to use them once they do. So then once we can really show the clips, we'll get into it more. But I think a big part of the takeaway from the weekend was a lot of people who pass themselves off as smart are some dumb motherfuckers. John McWhorter is a fucking babbling moron.
Well, yeah, I could have told you that.
Complete moron. John Chatterton Williams. Here you got two people coming out of academia. They're both coming out of academia, and they do not have a good word to say about the students that just got their heads cracked open over the weekends. John McWhorter actually said in his panel with Chatterton, are we past peak woke? And you'll see it when I definitely want to do a segment on that panel. Well, I would have thought we were past peak woke until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Fucking piece of shit. What a piece of shit. Fucking Chatterton goes up there on the same fucking day that he's living in France. The same day that a doctor from England who's been doing surgery in Gaza is stopped at the airport in France because apparently Germany, I don't know if all EU countries can do this, but Germany can impose a ban on visas. So
Right.
they banned this guy from entering Europe. So he was supposed to address the French parliament. Nothing to say about that. That's the country you live in, man. Nothing. Not a fucking word. These people want to all go around, oh, we're dissident. You ain't fucking dissident. You're Republicans with a coat of tech boy paint. That's all you are. You're tech bros with laptops talking the same pro-empire shit. There was not one word about geopolitics that could not have come off a press release from the State Department. Not fucking one. They are just the same old Republicans with a tech bro patina. That's all that is.
Please clap.